Hi, friends. This week, I'm going to be doing some coloring. And I know that I've done some coloring in past videos, and it hasn't really been that exciting, but I've been looking to really up my coloring game. So I've been following some coloring groups and accounts on social media, and I noticed that there are some very specific trends going on, and I want to try some out. I think a lot of these are big on TikTok, but I don't tick the talk anymore. So I got a lot of these from Facebook and Instagram. All right, first, I'm just going to do a warm up page in this cute kawaii coloring book. And since I struggle to pick out colors when I'm coloring, I'm also going to be using a color palette from Sarah Renee Clark's Color Cubes. You could also just look up palettes on the internet. Now, I know that all art is subjective and a personal preference, so keep in mind that everything that I'm going to be doing in this video, well, all of my videos really, it's just a personal preference. There's no right or wrong in art. But the sort of popular style that I've been seeing is those simple and bold coloring books. And they seem to have a very specific kind of shading that people do in them. I think it's really cute, so I want to try it out. I picked this page to start because it will have a lot of places to practice shading. So I chose my colors and I just started by filling in each little creature thing. I'm trying to make an even amount and disbursement of each color. Now remember that with alcohol markers, you need to keep the ink wet for it to blend. So I'm making sure to go back and forth, overlapping it a little, so that each stroke is touching wet ink. If the ink bleeds past the lines, you can use the colorless blender to lighten and sort of push the ink back a bit. But make sure that you actually let it fully dry before you color over it, or you're going to have a weird spot. Now, you can see a few of the monsters where I colored a little faster than the ink was able to flow, and it looks kind of patchy. So I went back over those blobs with a second coat, making sure to go slow and steady. It will make them slightly darker, but since each little guy is separate, it doesn't really matter. I quickly colored in anywhere that wasn't one of the palette colors, like the tongues and the mouths, and these couple that have stars and hearts. Now, for the shading, you can use the same color marker or a slightly darker one to do the shadows. In this case, I'm going in with the same marker as before to start. It's easier to go darker later if I don't like it than to try and lighten it. I'm shading underneath any features or accessories, to the left side of the monsters, and any place where they're behind another creature. We're not thinking about a realistic light source here, but that's not really the point. And as I'm going, I'm also working on any details like lips, hair, or this weird turtle hat thing going on down here. I did start with the same shade as the base layer, but I didn't really think that it was enough of a contrast, so I ended up going back over all of the shadows with a darker shade. The last step is to add the highlights. For this, I'm going to use a white gel pen that's been warming up in my cleavage for a while. Listen, it makes the gel flow better. I'm putting all of the highlights on the upper right-hand side of each head, ear, eyes, tongues, and really just anywhere that I felt like would be shiny. So here's where we started with the base color and where we ended up. Oh, it looks so good. At first, I wasn't sure if it really made a difference, but I think that was just because I had been staring at it for too long. Because I took a break and came back an hour later, and I was shocked at how much it looked like the ones that I've been seeing and loving. It's really simple, but it looks so good. The shading really gives depth to the whole page. Okay, so let's try something a little more advanced. Like I said, those bold and simple coloring books are really popular. A lot of people use Cocowayo, but I just so happen to have this super cute book by my friend Creative Paula, so I'm going to use that. Now, before I get to the first technique I want to try, I'm just going to color in the characters in the middle of the page, because I'm not going to do anything super complicated with them. I'm just going to shade and highlight them like I just did. Okay, for this blanket down here, I'm gonna do something that I've been seeing everywhere and that I've been loving. It's this rainbow plaid technique. I did practice some of these techniques a few times before, and I noticed that I am completely incapable of keeping my stripes straight and headed in the same direction. So I'm sketching out some really light pencil lines on this blanket to try and course correct as I go. Speaking of practicing, I use this tiny coloring book from Grabby that I got in that advent calendar. And what is this wizardry? This paper is so thin and cheap feeling, and the marker isn't bleeding through at all. Like how? What the heck is this made of? Okay, back to the blanket. So, from what I gather, the way to do rainbow plaid is to do rainbow stripes first in one direction, which seems super simple, except that even with these guidelines on here, I am barely keeping the lines straight and definitely not keeping them an even thickness. But once all of those are done, I'm going to do the same thing again, but at a perpendicular angle to the first stripes. As I'm getting close to the end, you can really tell how crooked the lines are. Now, this was as far as I had planned out, but I really wanted to finish the page, and I wanted to do more than just blocks of color, so I decided to try a few more techniques. First, for the grass, I'm going to follow this tutorial that Coco Wyo had on their Instagram. First, we lay down a base color. Great, looking amazing. Then, we swipe on some lines to make a gradient effect. Ooh, this is not looking very gradienty. It's actually looking very buttsicle. But I need to do the same thing over here because even worse than buttsicle is a mismatched buttsicle. I tried going back over the whole thing with the base color to maybe get it to blend or something, and I tried adding more gradienty stripes, but it's mostly just getting darker instead of better. Let's keep going anyway. Next, we need to draw some random grass blades with a dark alcohol marker, and then we add grass blades with a paint marker. It's kind of starting to look like those little knots on a quilt. Like maybe it's too sparse? So I tried adding a bunch more and then going back with the alcohol marker to add more dark ones. The last step is adding random small flowers with paint markers. Okay, well, it's not great, but I think it came out okay. I think eventually I made such a big spread out mess that you can't really focus on any of the small individual messes. So I'm gonna get to this sky, and I wanted to make a nice cloudy sky using another technique that I've been seeing. First, I need to create a gradient in the sky. A lot of people do bright colors and it comes out sort of sunset-y looking, but I wanted this to be an afternoon sky, so I chose 3 blues. Problem number 1, the second color in my gradient is drying out. Problem number 2, my second and third blues are way too dark. It's like they're picnicking in the middle of a thunderstorm. The too dry marker made the color really patchy, so I tried to go over it with the lightest color, but that just seems to have made it worse. Let's press on. Next, I'm going to use a colorless blender to swirl on some clouds. From what I've seen, most people use one of the bright colors from their gradient, but I thought that if I used a dark blue to draw the clouds, it might start actually raining in my craft room. Hopefully, this next step will help to actually fix this up some. I'm going to use a gel pen to draw on some outlines, and then immediately use my finger to smudge and blend it out. I just kept going over it and then smudging each cloud, working the color down into the cloud, and really building up the outlines. I also tried to fix up the shapes a bit so that they looked more like clouds and not weird, flat-bottomed muffin tops. I added a few little wispy spots here and there too. Once all of that was done, I felt like the bears didn't really fit in with the rest of the picture, so I added shadows under the blanket and behind the bears. Then, off camera, I darkened all of the shadows on the bears and the honey. I don't know how I feel about this page. The bears look really cute, but since the grass and sky are so aggressive, they sort of look like I just slapped them onto a completely different page. At least I got to practice a bit and learn from my many mistakes. Okay, I'm gonna do one more page because I really want to try out that glowy thing where it looks like the TV or a lamp or whatever is casting a light beam into the room. So we have this page with some animals watching a tablet, it looks like. And the first thing that I need to do is figure out where the glow is. The hard part was deciding whether it was a wide glow or a more narrow glow. I ended up deciding that it could only glow as wide as where his arms are holding the tablet, so I used a ruler and drew really light pencil lines. Now, to color everything in, I'm going to need 4 colors for each section. A light base color for where the light beam hits, and then a darker shade for the area outside of the light beam. Then I also have a dark color for the shading in the light beam area, and the darkest color for the shading in the shadowed area. I maybe could have used the same color for the light beam shadows and the base color outside of the light beam, but I didn't. Is this even making sense? Anyway, after getting the couch all colored, I colored in the rug down here with more colors from my color palette. Since the whole thing is in the shadow, I wanted to add something a little more interesting, so I drew on a bunch of little V's to make it look like a woven rug. Adding texture is also something that's very popular, but I just couldn't find a single example of a woven rug texture, so I just sort of made this one up. Then I moved up to the wall, and I'm just going to use the last color from the palette and color the wall turquoise. Of course, adding a shadow behind the couch. Now, to punch up this couch a little bit, I want to add a pattern to it. Patterns are also really popular, and there's so many to choose from, but for some reason, I decided to go with stripes in a really light gray. A gray that is lighter than the rest of the couch maybe wasn't the right choice. And I just showed that I don't know how to keep my lines straight, so while they started out heading towards West Virginia, by the end, they were on their way to Texas. I added them to the rest of the couch anyway, and I tried to alter the direction a little in each section to make the wonky heading less obvious. Then I went in with my darkest shade of red and shaded the couch pretty much the way that I've been doing it so far. The only change that I made was instead of always doing the lower left or lower right, I shaded the sides furthest from where the glow was. I shaded the rug underneath the couch and around each loop. And then, for the floor down here, I decided to make it wood. Drawing wood grain is something that I see a lot also, and it seems like they just color the wood a base color and then use a darker color to draw on the wood grain. But I think that I didn't let the base color dry enough because the grain is sort of bleeding and spreading, so I'm going to come back to that. For the animals, I again have 4 colors: a glow color, a shaded glow color, a shadow color, and a shaded shadow color. Even though the raccoon was a little tough because there's only so many variations on dark gray before it just looks black. Let me jump back to that wood grain and then back up to shade all the animals. Okay, now I could just leave it like this, and that would be fine. It's a very the lights are on subtle kind of glow. But a variation on this technique is to go over the whole shadow area with a neutral gray. This is going to darken and desaturate the whole thing. It's scary looking at first because it is so dark, but once it starts to dry and the color still comes through, it looks so cool. The difference that it makes in the feel of the picture is crazy. It is possible that it makes all that shading that I did kind of pointless, but I don't care. It was good practice and it was fun to do. Plus, I think some of it is still visible. The last step is to add some highlights into the light bead. And that page is done. This is honestly the most fun that I've had with coloring in a really long time. And I am dying to do some more. There's so many other techniques that I want to try. So what do you think? Let me know if you have any suggestions for what I should try next. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.